Everyone says TJR is just another trading guru. Yeah, he's pulling over $15 million a year, probably even more than that. On almost none of it is from trading. People hand him $5,000 for a high ticket program, yet the strategy is pretty much free online. And I spent a full week reverse engineering it to figure out exactly why. This is the full teardown of his funnel, so you can copy it for your own offer. And it's also partly how I scaled my own trading brand to over 100K per month. And some of the concepts here are the exact concepts that I use to scale my clients to over 100K months within the trading space as well. And before we get into anything, here's just some of the proof. As you can see, we're ranging 95K, 75K a month, 102K a month, selling 4K, 5K packages, etc., etc. So before we take a look at anything such as the content, etc., first and foremost, and this is what most people miss, is the foundation before creating content and before building a brand in general and before selling a product is understanding awareness, because you need to make the right people aware of what you have to offer and the right people aware of you in general. And most people are terrible at that. And most people target the wrong audience. And before you're able to pinpoint your ICP, one of the first foundational, I guess, things you need to figure out is your customer awareness. And this usually goes in 5 stages. It's unaware, problem aware, solution aware, product aware, and then most aware. And within TJR's specific industry, the people that he's targeting are problem aware. So what is he selling? He's selling a get rich, not really necessarily get rich, but he's selling a make money offer, right? So he's selling a make money offer. He's teaching people how to make money. So they're problem aware. They're aware that they're broke. So all he needs to do is just make them aware of his solution, which is obviously going to be his program. So right there, it narrows the type of content that you create, because depending on the product or service that you have, your content is going to majorly differ. The unaware content is content that's totally different. Like, you're educating them on something totally different to when they're problem aware. The content you create for solution aware, product aware, most aware, the content differs massively. So this is one of the number one things that you need to understand. And this is one of the biggest reasons why he's done incredibly well, because he's so intentful and so smart with his content. Most people look at his content and they think he's just posting whatever, but he is very intentful in everything that he posts. Okay, so let's take a look at the first thing, which is obviously generating traffic. You need to generate traffic for people to then follow you, for people to then purchase whatever that you have to offer. But how has he done this? And how has he done this in such a meticulous, genius way, in fact? So when we take a look at his top of funnel content, typically content gets broken down into 3 different stages, right? I actually break it down into 6 different stages. People break it down into top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel, which essentially top of funnel content is content like this right here. This is content specifically made to get eyeballs and to make you aware. Okay, it's specifically made to get eyeballs and to make you aware of the brand. He does this very well, by the way. If we take a look at his Instagram content right here, he focuses a lot on like all that brain rot stuff that gets views, and it gets a lot of views. And the reason why he pushes that type of content out is that's essentially who he's targeting. He's targeting the 18, 19, 20-year-olds, and he's targeting the people that are interested in that type of a thing. And it's interesting because you attract literally what you are. So what you put out, what you project in on social media is exactly the type of people that you're going to attract in your social media, that you're going to attract into your programs and that follow you. So for example, for more, I guess you can say, professional clients or clients that are like, I've got some clients that are trying to target a much higher, like high net worth individuals, for example. You don't make this type of content. The content differs immensely. So that's one of the number one things, is first and foremost understanding your ICP. I'm assuming in this video that you understand your ICP, okay? Which is why, like, he understands his ICP, which is why every piece of content that he puts out there resonates with ICP quickly, and he gets views, and does incredibly well. So he does a very good mixture of different content. A lot of it is brain rot, right? A lot of this is not going to be value. So what we usually do is we focus on Instagram to just get views. Okay. So a lot of it is going to be brain rot stuff. A lot of it is just going to be like lifestyle stuff. A lot of it is going to be like meme style. A lot of it is just going to be like flexing, etc. This, and of course you're going to have like the 1 or 2 reels that shows like the live trading, etc. But this is mostly focused once again on reach. This is what we do. In your top of funnel content, you're focusing on 2 things. First and foremost, you want people to like you and aspire to be you. Okay. So in your top of funnel content, they need to like you and aspire to be you. So this is the type of content you need to make. What most people don't understand, right, is that a brand, to build a proper brand ecosystem, you need to create content for three things, which is why a lot of people just focus on TOF, MOF, BOF. But looking at TOF, MOF, BOF still doesn't complete the brand ecosystem. You need to make content that makes people like you, makes them want to be like you, right? Which is aspirational content. And then for people to trust you, which is going to be the value content. Here's the mistake that most people make. They make just trust you content. That's all they make. They just put a value. And the thing is like, if you only focus on your value is, you can necessarily even say it's like, it's a commodity, right? Because the value you learn, I can typically learn as well if I put in the time. But what differentiates me with this guy is that people could like me more than that guy. People could potentially appreciate my values more, or my lifestyle more than the other guy. And then it's like, it's the concoction of these three things is what really builds a one-on-one personal brand. And which, one of the biggest mistakes that people make is they'll focus just on like this, and they'll forget the likability content. You know, they'll focus just on these two, they'll forget this. You need to have all three in unison, which is why it's incredibly important. And he's done this perfectly. We'll take a look at that on the YouTube as well. So he does a lot for top of funnel, right? So he's posting two Instagrams typically a day, even more so. He's also got a clipping account, which he's just pumping content out. He owns this clipping account. He's so flipping consistent on TikTok. There's been times where he's posted 35, 36, 37 times a flipping day. And that's one thing that a lot of people don't realize is like, there's no real secret to what he's necessarily doing. He's just an incredibly likable guy, and he shows up consistently with an immense amount of volume every single day, and he's doing it for quite a while. And that's part of the secret to it, you know. Of course, he's very, very interesting on camera. He's a very, very interesting character in general, but just being consistent as well helps a lot, and being disciplined helps a lot as well, right? So obviously he's a Twitter strategy as well. You know, he's posting on Twitter. He's streaming on Kick, you know, daily live trading, which is really, really important to build trust, because essentially you can't like fake those trades. And then obviously podcasts, a lot of social proof there, more brand awareness, okay, etc., etc. Then he's posting the lifestyle, as I said, lifestyle content, which is aspirational content. Okay. On top of the traffic that he's bringing in through the organic, he's also running. Now, I checked this actually recently, and it seems like he stopped his paid ads. And this is the thing. This is why a lot of times breaking these funnels down, what you need to understand is that these guys test a lot. They experiment a lot. And their strategy at $1 million a month, because that's what he's making, right? He's probably making over $1 million a month. He's probably making $2 million a month. But the strategy at that level is totally different to the strategy when you're only trying to get to 100K a month, 250K a month. Strategy is totally different. The funnels are different. So this is what I'm showing you here. I'm showing you what he's doing now, yes, but what I want you to focus on is what he did to get to his position now. Because this is the mistake a lot of people make, is they look at TJR and they'll be like, I'm going to copy his exact funnel. But it's like, you're copying the funnel that he's using now. The rules don't apply to him, right? He's playing on a different caliber right now. So this is the difference. And this is what I like to focus on, is I like to show you guys how he got to where he is, because that's actually more beneficial than just breaking down what he's doing now, which is what pretty much all these other gurus are showing you. They're just showing you what he's doing now, which is easy to show, right? He's also running paid ads, which is supplementing the organic content. You need to run paid ads to supplement the organic content. You don't necessarily need to do it too early at the start, depending on the level that you're at. But paid, like, organic content alone, unless you grow your brand massively and you're incredibly consistent with your content and you're charming on camera, like, you know what you're doing, it's really, really difficult to just do it with just organic. So he supplements it as well. In his specific case, he's running retargeting ads, which is a really, really smart way to go about things as well. So a lot of time what you can do is you can run retargeting ads to people that you've already collected their emails through your opt-ins, through your, his WAF free community, which we're going to take a look at that in a second. And you run retargeting ads, and most of these are going to be testimonial creatives, right? So testimonial creatives. So as you're scrolling Facebook, as you're scrolling Instagram, you consistently see the results pop up in your face, and this massively will increase your conversion rates, right? On top of that, he also runs a few cold ads as well, which ends up sending people to his free course. Once again, not necessarily a play I would do if I was small, but when you're at that level, you're really trying to reach everyone, and this is a reach play that he's doing, so yeah. Once you have the traffic, what's really, really important that you need to understand in the top of funnel content that he's creating here is that he's not selling anything. Nothing is being sold here. So he funnels everything through to YouTube, and this is where the nurturing and actual conversion happens. Here's the thing, guys, right? There's, I guess you could say, a 7-11 rule, or Google study that people say. They say it's a Google study, but Google has actually never carried out the study, so it's just folklore within the marketing space. But there is a level of truth to it, 100%, is that the more, like, you need about seven hours of content of a prospect consumed in your content, 7 hours with 11 different touch points before they buy your offer. And 100%, like, people need to consume a lot of content. But here's the thing, like, imagine 7 hours. Like, how do we get 7 hours of them to consume our content? On videos like this, it's going to take about 1,000 reels to get 7 hours. But on YouTube, all they need to watch is literally like 7 videos, and they've already received 7 hours and they're ready to buy, which is why YouTube is, like, if I was to pick between just Instagram and YouTube, I'm picking YouTube, because YouTube is very, very good at conversion, right? We've tested this multiple times. We've looked at the numbers, and the conversion rate on YouTube smokes anything else. Smokes the paid ads, smokes the Instagram, etc. Don't get me wrong, you can convert on Instagram still, but you need to be incredibly good at that. So YouTube is very, very powerful. So when we take a look at YouTube, typically what he does is long form content, 50 to 60 minutes long, depending on the type of video. And he's very consistent. Once again, every 2 to 3 days he's posting a mixture of content, right? He's posting live trading. He's posting like beginner courses. There's also like a lot of podcasts that are happening there. He's posting a lot of lifestyle stuff. And once again, he's like, I want you to notice this, right? Look at this. This month, he's been focusing a lot on what? Top of funnel aspirational content. This is a very, very sharp way typically for you to drive, first and foremost, drive reach. And then and he does this a lot. You'll notice this a lot. Is like, he'll push a lot of top of funnel broad content, like vlogs, my updated day trading strategy. These are all very, 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 very broad. And this is to get as much views as possible. You can see this, like, he's getting more views here, 133K, 125K, etc., compared to the live trading. The live trading videos aren't going to get as much, but this is where the conversion happens. This is where the conversion happens. Note that he doesn't just create this type of content, which is what some people do. And no, he doesn't just create just the like vlogging lifestyle content. He's very intentional, and he does this in phases. Look, he'll bring in all the traffic, okay, and then he'll go up through a period where, like, a month, he just focuses on conversion. And he's done this multiple times in the past with like his boot camps, etc. And then he'll focus on top of funnel again, and it's consistently bringing in a flow of leads. Boom, you got a shit ton of leads now. We nurture them as much as possible, and the loop just keeps continuing, right? So it's very, very, very smart in the way that he does this, right? And yeah, so what he ends up doing then is, in the description of YouTube, he sends them to the VSL page. He sends them to the VSL page, and we're going to take a look at that in a second. What I also want you to notice as well is that in his Instagram right here, he also sends them to the VSL. Okay, so this is the exact same VSL page we're going to take a look at in a second. But note that here his testimonials. This is this is part more so to do with profile architecture, but it's very, very worth noting into this specific funnel, because what this allows you to show, it's not that it's just testimonials. It's the fact that he has a shit ton of testimonials, and this is really, really, really powerful. And this is something that you can implement in your own profile. Is rather than just having one big, I guess, highlight reel just filled with testimonials, and it's just one circle, split them up into many, and it just gives off that perception that you've got a shit ton of clients, shit ton of testimonials that you can't even fit them into one highlight. Even if you have like 5 testimonials per one, it's better than having it in all of them in just like one. Okay, so this is really, really, really powerful. So when you go here, you click onto his profile, you should see a shit ton of results. Okay, so I wanted to add that in. Then we take a look at the VSL page. Okay, and he also has a free WAP. So once again, really, really hard to show you every single different thing that he's doing, because he's going to have different lead magnets in and out all the time. He's going to test multiple different, like mini funnels. He's going to have boot camps. He's going to also webinars. He's also running a webinar at the moment. So there's a lot, but I don't care about none of that. What I want to focus on right now is just the VSL page, because this is what you can implement to grow your brand to 250K per month. So if we take a look at this, right, before we move into the VSL, I just want to take a look at the trust ladder, because this is what ends up happening. Is like the roadmap from someone going from cold to buyer is they'll see 1 to 5 short clips, which is going to be the reels. They look at hours of they look at like hours and hours of YouTube content. They'll also go maybe potentially through his boot camp. Boom. Then they end up actually trusting him. So a lot of time, this is when they'll have ended up opting in for either the free WAP community that he has, like the kind of the Discord that he has, or or they'll opt for a lead magnet, or they'll just opt to book a call potentially, and then boom, that's when the buyer ends up booking a call. Okay, so when we take a look at the VSL funnel in itself, this is what eventually happens, is that they'll either come through a lead magnet, which is the first door, or they'll go into YouTube, which is going to be in the description, and they'll apply to be a student essentially. What happens is they'll collect the name and email in the phone. This is an incredibly simple funnel. This is what you should copy, because this is what's ripping. Most people have these long ass funnels with just so much shit there, but you can keep your funnel in 2026. Simple works much better. And the thing is like, you don't need to say a lot, you don't need to prove a lot, because when your brand is so dialed in, when your content is so dialed in, most of the selling has already happened. The VSL funnel right here isn't even doing selling, it's just taking people. It's just the road to book a call. Like, the selling isn't happening here, which is what most people are doing, is they're trying to sell on the VSL. No, the selling and the convincing has happened already in the content. This is just to grab them and bring them in through the door. And it's very simple. It's a VSL with a good headline, with a bit of social proof, right? Whatever social proof you got, which is Trustpilot, whatever, and then boom, just a form. Simple as that. He doesn't even have case studies on this, because at this point, it's like people have seen the case studies on the Instagram, they've seen the case studies on the YouTube. He doesn't even need to include it. You can, but you don't need to, right? And it's incredibly simple. Okay, so he'll end up collecting obviously their name and email here, and then through he'll ask multiple different questions, but the main question that he's really asking is how much can you afford, and this is what will disqualify them. You'll either, if you can afford it, you'll be able to book a call. If you can't afford it, you're going to get disqualified. You will just get sent to you probably get sent to like his free WAP community, right? So this is what happens in order in the future, that if they can't afford it in the future, they can of course reapply again. But also, you've collected their email, and now you're going to be emailing them over and over again. You're nurturing them over time. Sometimes people will buy after a year or two, you'll be surprised. So what they do is they'll watch the VSL, they fill in the type form. If they're qualified, they get to book a call. If they're not qualified, one funny thing he used to do is he used to send them to a McDonald's career page, right? I don't recommend you to do that. This is the goofy personality that he has. It works well for his clientele. So you book a call, boom, then you get sent to the thank you page. Thank you page is probably even more so important than the VSL page in itself. Why? Because thank you page is the area where you can actually probably increase your show up rate by 20 to 25% just by having your thank you page optimized. And I have a full video on the thank you page and how you should optimize it already on the channel, so make sure you go ahead, check that out. And I have a video on actually this whole funnel and how to set it up as well, so make sure you go ahead and check that out on the channel as well. But basically, to run it real quick, right, it's a quick video. Essentially going to be entailing what the call is going to be about, etc. Then he's asking you to confirm, not on this specific thank you page, but typically what you also should do as well, and he has this on other thank you pages, I don't know why he's removed it now, is asks you to confirm the call on your calendar. It's very important, because Google doesn't seem to actually confirm the call straight away unless the client confirms it themselves. So he asks you to do that, ask a couple of questions and a bit of testimonials, and that's that. And that's an optimized VSL, and that's it. It's as simple as that. So then when that's all done, the sales machine is incredibly important. And this is why what you need to understand here is like the whole funnel needs to be dialed in, because a lot of people, they might have the traffic on point, cool, and this is what happens when we work with a lot of people, is we'll always find some sort of clients that'll be great with traffic, but they're terrible with their sales machine, or their sales and funnel is so dialed in, it's so optimized, but they're just getting trash traffic, or they're getting a shit ton of traffic, it's low ICP, or they're getting ICP traffic, but they're not getting enough. So there's always an issue. It's being able to dial these in, every single one of them, with the correct frameworks, understanding what's actually working in the industry, because this industry is ever changing. I've been in the industry for 6 years, and the funnels and the content that we used to create 6 years ago stopped working 2 years later, and then the content that we create today and the funnels that we use today is totally different to even 2 years ago. So it's always ever changing. This is why you need to understand and can be consistently on top of the trends. And this is, I guess, the power of me being able to work with just only trading offers. We don't work with anybody else, is that we are so, like, we've mastered the trading niche. We know exactly what works and what doesn't. And this is, we also get to see a lot of the data from many, many different companies. We're able to see clearly the patterns that consistently work instead of just, guessing and picking, and so yeah. Anyways, then what will happen is they'll have the sales machine. So speed to lead is incredibly important. Once somebody books in, you dial them, you gotta set our triage. He's, once again, discovery, he's building pain points, re-verifying finances, because the thing is, a lot of people, of course, are going to lie on the sheet, on the Typeform sheet. And when you have so much traffic, someone like TJR, he's going to be dealing with a lot of trash leads. So he needs to be making sure that his filtration system essentially is incredibly meticulous. Once you do that, then you add the qualified leads into a group chat. You got the setter and the closer, and essentially you got the setter and closer. What you also do is you add yourself in there as well, right? So your closer should be doing that, and they're borrowing authority from you, because a lot of the times people want to hop on with the actual person or brand owner. But instead, if you hop into a group chat and you make a quick 30-second video, of course it's going to be incredibly difficult when you're at his stage. But when you're at a lower stage than that, and you can afford to do that, and you should, because you need to, of course, maximize your conversions as much as possible before you worry about doing actions at scale, because the actions that you take now are going to be different at scale. That's natural, right? You just need to play your cards right, and you need to play the best move on the chessboard now. So you make a quick video, 30-second video saying, hey, excited to speak to you, man, but unfortunately, you don't say unfortunately, you'll say, thanks for booking the call. I have my closer here. You're bigging up the closer before they actually hop on the call. So the closer is borrowing authority from you, and it works incredibly well. Typically the frame of the closer improves majorly. Then you also got the show up cascade. It's literally just like emails being hammered, making sure that they're showing up. You're sending results, testimonials. You're just sending a shit ton before the call. And this is another strategy called the hammer drum strategy. Jeremy Haynes has come up with this specifically, but we also adopt this within our funnel because it works incredibly well. By the way, this whole time when you've collected their email within the funnel here, you have their email. In the future, what you can do as well is you can do launches, which work incredibly well. You drop amazing offers, especially when you need a quick cash pump. You drop an offer that they simply can't say no to. And when you have like 100,000, 200,000 people in your email list, that's a shit ton of cash that you can collect, man. And that's exactly what TJR does. He does the launches as well. I'm not going to go through that today because I don't think it necessarily is important for you specifically. So then what ends up happening is, boom, once that's all done, they'll have the call. If they close, they've collected the cash, they also will put it on the payment plan if they can't close at the 4.5k level. And if they no show, then they'll have the setter dial daily. It's incredibly important that the setters are actually proactive, and the setters usually are one of the biggest reasons why offers struggle. So setters, I would argue, are probably more important than the closers themselves, right? Because the setters, first and foremost, they're the first touch point for anything else. So if they're not dialed in, the closer is going to suffer a lot. So you really need to make sure that you dial in the setters and get good, A players. And it's something that we help with as well, as we are able to install setters within your offer that are actually familiar with the Forex niche, because most setters don't know what the hell they're talking about when it comes to Forex niche. I've seen this before. I see this with clients coming to me, and the minute we swap out their setters for setters that actually understand what the hell is going on within the space, boom, all of a sudden the whole business changes. Their revenue just doubles. It's insane, right? And if they don't close at the end, they go into a free trading group so they can recoup that lead in the future later, and hopefully book them on the call later, which is, for TJR's case, is going to be the free WAP channel. And that is it, guys. That is the whole funnel. It's quite easy when you break it down, but it's a lot of different mini moving parts. Because here's the funny thing. We just went through the content in itself, and although it might just look like, yeah, this is the 5 sections, you can copy this. But what you need to understand is every single one of these boxes is its own intricacy in itself. It's like, okay, yeah, you can post 36 TikTok posts a day, but you need to first and foremost understand how to craft engaging videos. You need to understand how to show up on camera, how to actually be good on camera, hooks, retention, all of that stuff. There's so much more to it. So although breaking down the funnel is great, whatever, but there's so much more to being able to make brilliant videos that actually tracked ICP, videos that convert, videos that get views, funnels that actually convert. It's very easy to just look at, which is why, although this is a more brief overview of TJR's funnel, I have videos on my channel that break every single thing that we've spoken about here in a depth, in detail. So whatever it is that you feel like you haven't dialed in, you can go ahead. You want a video about content, it's on my channel. You need a video about the offers or the funnel, it's on my channel. You need a video about sales, it's on my channel. Go ahead, guys, check it out. I'm dropping all the sauce here for free, but if you need, of course, help with the implementation and for me to come in and actually build this out for you, you know what to do, man. Click the link down below, book the call. Catch you in the next video, my friend.